Oh, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday podcast. It's coming to you with some news on this first Friday morning of September. Hope you all are doing well. Um, I am on the edge or verge of hosting my second Comic-Con, and so I'm a little jitters. Not jitters, more like nauseous with all the stuff that's got to be done, but still doing good. Um, Still wanted to come and drop this and chit chat with y'all and get ready for all it's going to be this weekend. So, pretty pumped, pretty excited for how things are going to go, and hopefully, um, it's going to go pretty smooth, and that it's going to be a good experience for everybody. But we're going to see. But yeah, this is the first week in September, or first Friday in September. It's also the day that Beetlejuice drops. I'm sure that's not news. Y'all are aware of that, but Beetlejuice drops today. And my little Comic Con is tomorrow from 10 to 4 in Lumberton, North Carolina at Vertical Church Lumberton. So if you feel like making the hustle, come on down. I'll give you hugs and free things. It is free admission. But that being said, let's jump in and do some nerdy news and things across that scope. Let's get going here. Um, if you were aware of uh things going on in the world of Lincoln Park, starting about a week ago, they dropped a 100-hour countdown. And then once that 100-hour countdown dropped, it then gave you the opportunity to sign up for contact information, like mailers and stuff, or text, email. And then it did a 100-hour count up. And then it told us to be there uh at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. And if you tuned in at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, you were surprised with a full hour-long live concert from the new iteration of Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park with three, if not four, of the original members. Uh, the drummer is new, and I don't know if that's a permanent fixture, but the drummer is currently new. And the vocalist is new. The vocalist is Emily Armstrong, who was previously in a uh kind of grunge band that I've never heard of. But Emily Armstrong is now the new lead singer of Linkin Park. Now, 100% transparency, I enjoyed it. So I know lots of people were angry, upset, and they're like, "Rawr." But listen, as I heard someone else explain it, we're not getting Chester back. We're not getting the Linkin Park that was back. So let's roll with it. Let's enjoy what we can get. I meant, um, that's where it was, and literally it took like three notes for me to start crying and just sit there and teary-eyed through most of the concert. Um, and Emily's voice cracked a few times. But have you ever tried to put on a full Linkin Park concert and all of the screamy notes? No, neither have I. Well, I have, but just not in front of people. Um, but I'm excited. Good morning, Tristan. Um, but they announced that they have a new single out, The Emptiness Machine, which you can pick up now. There's a full music video for it. There is a new album dropping November 15th, uh, which is also the same general area where Skillet is dropping their new album. And then Linkin Park has also announced that they are going on tour as early as this month with a handful of spots. Like New York, Seoul, like there's a handful of spots, and I'll cross that in my notes in a little bit. But Linkin Park was back. I enjoyed watching it. I guess I'll buy the single. I don't know if I want to, just because I want to wait for the album if it's not going to be that long in between. But you can watch. I'm assuming you can still watch. Let's find out if you can still watch the full concert on YouTube. I haven't checked that if there's a replay of it. Some of those things are only like one-time deals. Um, like the 21 Pilots live stream was a one-time deal. Um, there are plenty of pirated videos already of it. Um, no, the live stream is there. Um, so the live stream of their concert is up. It's an hour and 21 minutes, and it's there. And their new album is called From Zero. So there's that. It exists. And yeah, we got Linkin Park back for the first time in 7 years. Uh, and listen, I will deal with people being sinful and be patient with it. I will deal with people um sometimes of different political natures and things like that being ugly and aggressive. But I'll unfollow some people faux show if you ugly about things that matter to people. Not even I'm saying it's important, but if it matters to people and you ugly, I'll unfollow you. I may not unfriend you, but darn it, I'm not going to look at your shenanigans anymore. I definitely unfollowed somebody yesterday. I was like, I don't even know who you are, and you negative. I'm unfollowing you. Um, I remember unfollowing and maybe unfriending someone when they were ugly about Chester's passing and were very negative. And I was like, I'm done with you. And on that note, September is suicide prevention month. Um, and I'll make this very blanket statement. If you ever need somebody to talk to, there are options. Please, I please reach out if you ever are struggling. I'm not saying I'm always your best option, but if you know me enough to watch this, you might want to reach out to me because I will do my best to actually talk with you and point you in the right direction. But there are, yeah, it was just nasty, Tristan. But I will be glad to help you and point you to some resources because listen, I'm not the most clinically trained in everything, but I will point you to people that can help. But it is Suicide Prevention Month. I'm going to be doing some stuff with that this month. And probably be putting some stuff together with that. So yeah, uh, yay September. The new Terminator anime, I finished that just to say that if you are a fan of Terminator franchise, it's solid. Um, Rosario Dawson, Jeffrey Wright, Timothy Oliphant, and I will say that Timothy Oliphant has maybe the least role vocally in this because he is the Terminator. Um, but the other main characters actually have a really good performance and it ends pretty well. So Terminator Zero is out. Um let's see. And Rings of Power, also checked out the first 3 episodes of that. Um I think I mentioned this last time, but just in case I didn't, Yellowstone is coming back uh without Kevin Costner. Yeah, I mentioned that last time. I got that one. I got that one. Okay, yeah, here we go. Employees at Raven Software. Yeah, I did this too. I thought I got rid of all my old news. Hold on. That's what happens when you aren't like having a professional team put your news clips together. Oh, I mentioned last week that there was a gang takeover in Aurora, Colorado, of people going door to door as gangs with apartments and like taking people out of their apartments and robbing them and things like that. I don't know the outcome of what happened next, but earlier this week, an entire fleet of bikers went to Aurora, Colorado to combat the gang members. I've not seen a lot of news coverage on this, but I'm just saying that would make good TV. Gang members taking over hotels and apartments complexes, and then a group of rowdy bikers roll across the country to go free all the people. Come on, that writes itself. Now that is a serious situation, and people are in danger, but that's also good writing. It's good writing. Okay, back to actually where I know news is news. Cape Crusader season 2 is officially in the process of production. Um, Michelle Bonilla, who played Renee Montoya in season 1, posted some videos and selfie of her recording her lines for season 2. So that is officially underway. Dead Boy Detectives has officially been canceled on Netflix. The Sandman spinoff, also technically Doom Patrol spinoff, although they were different Dead Boy Detectives than Doom Patrol. Um, but it has been canceled. Here's the deal. I know that um I know it take place in the Sandman world, but I think we would have rather had, as a collective community, would have rather had more Sandman than Dead Boy Detectives, although it wasn't a bad idea. The James Webb telescope, one of the world's most powerful telescopes, has spotted 6 rogue planets that are, and they range in different size, that are just drifting through space, not tethered to any star or atmosphere. So very much in an episode of Doctor Who that we're living in, there are 6 planets free balling through space right now. Uh could end up here. But literally there's just 6 planets roaming around, you know, untethered, which is kind of a scary sight. Uh Streamer slash influencer slash whatever you want to call them, I Show Speed, um, purchased a robotic dog for $100,000 and live and recorded the process of interacting with his dog, and was, I don't think he was badly injured, but was taken aback and alarmed at the fact that his robotic dog had a flamethrower and shot him in the legs with a flamethrower, and then continued to chase him with said flamethrower. Now, could this all just be an elaborately planned YouTube scheme? Sure. But also, the video's fun. So if you want to check that out, I Show Speed getting attacked by his robotic dog with a flamethrower. He ended up jumping in the pool to get away. Um, NHL star Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew were killed in a New Jersey bicycle accident hours before a family wedding. Um, they were their sister's wedding was happening, and just hours before the wedding, both of the brothers were killed in bicycling accidents. And I don't know, man. That's between those two and Gordon Ramsay. That's 3 major bicycle accidents recently. Fat Man Scoop, legendary. Uh, I don't want to say legendary is not the right term, because he is legendary if you're a fan of the hip hop community. Fat Man Scoop dies at the age of 53. He died on stage mid performance, um, which has to be traumatizing for a lot of people in that capacity. But Fat Man Scoop did die. If you want to look up his catalog, there's a lot to go on there. Um, San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall he was in serious but stable condition after being shot in the chest after an attempted armed robbery on Saturday afternoon. Um, yeah, he was attempted to be robbed, and he was shot but he is surviving as my last news update. There was a TikTok trend with Chase Bank over the weekend, um, where people thought that they had discovered a glitch to be able to get unprecedented sums of money from the bank through a glitch. And they discovered that if you deposited a check into Chase's ATM, or yeah, their teller machine, for a large amount, you could take out a portion of that amount before it posts. So people were writing ridiculously large checks and then taking out large sums of money, thinking that they had hacked the system when really they were just committing check fraud, and didn't take to register the fact that you actually have to use your bank account, your social security number, your financials to be able to do this. And so there's a lot of people going either going to jail or destitute because Chase took all the money back. And so yeah, guys, check your homework. Don't do things like that. Um but yeah, they committed check fraud just because people are inexperienced with the concept of checks these days, and so that doesn't work that way. Um and what turned out to be almost a horror movie like scenario. Um, if you're not aware, there are a couple astronauts stranded on a Boeing Starcraft or Starliner aircraft. These astronauts went up for what was supposed to be a short trip, and they are going to be stuck there for the better part of 7 months. To my last update, they won't be able to be rescued until February as they get picked up on a different ship. Um, they started freaking out this past week because terrifying noises started broadcasting through the ship's speakers. Terrifying noises, as the astronauts described it, were pumping through the speakers. I'm sorry. If you've already told me that I'm stuck in space for 6 months longer than I planned, and now horror movie level noises are coming through the speaker system, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm fashioning bandanas out of torn clothing and making makeshift weapons, and I am preparing for the absolute worst because that's bonkers. They later said, "Oh, it was just a missed uh, audio cable in the wrong spot or something." Shenanigans. Don't. No, it's too late for that. Uh, it's too late for that. No, don't try and tell me it's a cable. After you've just heard the souls of the undead coming through your space station um sound system. Researchers have unearthed nearly 1,700 ancient virus species hidden within the glaciers of the Himalayas. Tristan, it is Dead Space, bro. It is Dead Space. We're watching Dead Space happen in real time. That's not okay. That's not good. Um, but these researchers found a spot in the Himalayas where they tested some stuff and found 1,700 viruses. Um, this 100% goes in that Mike Wazowski category. I put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. We don't need this. We don't need 1,700 new viruses, which this also comes really funnily. This comes at a fun time, this discovery, because last week the internet was mad because Ludacris took a water bottle and scooped up and drank water straight out of a glacier. And people are like, don't do that, bro. That's a bad life choice. And then within a week, scientists discover 1,700 um, ancient viruses just chilling in glaciers. So um, I guess as a general life advisement, don't be like Ludacris. Don't drink from random glaciers. I get that it might be cold and old, make you feel like you're in the water boy, but don't do it. Um, the Oklahoma public schools um have become the target of some negative feedback as Edmonton North High School in Oklahoma has banned the American flag. Yes. Um, Students were displaying the American flag on their trucks and stickers and things like that. And the principal banned the American flag at the school. And the school board had lots of things to say, and lots of people had things to say. But I know that's not going to fly. You can't ban the American flag at an American school and expect parents to be super cool with it. Yeah. And in other sci-fi sounding news, since we're covering Dead Space and all these other things, Vladimir Putin, uh, you know, of Russia, um, has ordered the confiscation and the surrender of all of the Kremlin's best scientists in regards to anti-aging. Um, the 71-year-old dictator put out a blanket statement that he wants all research by all scientists in his control to hand over everything they've got on anti-aging because he's planning to live forever. I get it. We are mortal beings, and the concept of our mortality is a scary thing, especially when you have a lot of power and things like that. But like again, an old man demanding scientists uh release of information on anti-aging is how we get Resident Evil. So we've covered Dead Space IRL, we've covered Gangs of Denver, Colorado IRL, we've covered uh the creation of the Umbrella Academy or Umbrella Corporation in real life. It's kind of crazy. Um Florida has banned 23 of Stephen King's books without warning or conversation. Now, here's the thing: Stephen King has been dropping books since before I was breathing, and he's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's also not something new, like and controversial in those means. But Florida took it as a part of their recent book ban spree to ban Stephen King's books, 23 of his books. Um, Stephen King's lawyer or publisher has also joined the lawsuit with along with five other major publishers against Florida. And but here's the deal: outside of Florida, or sorry, outside of Stephen King books, they've also banned the novel Brave New World and The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So if you are thinking that banning Tom Sawyer is on the same level as banning Stephen King, you should read a book. Um, in a tragic series of events that took place in Uganda. Um, Ugandan athlete Rebecca Cheptegei was burned on over 75% of her body after her boyfriend Dixon Nadimia set her ablaze because they were in an argument. So Olympic athlete, she did survive, but her boyfriend lit her on fire in an argument, and that is horrible. And like I get it. I've been angry at in arguments with people before, but that's horrifying. Um in Ireland, Steve Buscemi tried to break up a bar fight, which is something I would have loved to have watched. Um there's now for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift Um, there is a, and I'm doing air quotes if you're listening to the audio on this, there is a leaked air quotes um breakup contract that has been discovered allegedly from Travis Kelce's publicity um firm, his PR firm. Um, but it's, they're saying it's a fake document. But if it is not a fake document, y'all can watch for the dates on this. Um, it details the full media plan and steps for an amicable breakup on September 28th of this year. So if it's real, there's a legal document for them to go, because being PR people and public faces, you have to go through some NDAs and things like that. And if it's a legitimate document, they're supposed to be breaking up on the 28th, but nobody is really saying it is. But that's a deal. Um, and entertainment news, Damian Priest, who, if you're aware, is a current WWE superstar. Damian Priest, in an interview this week, revealed that he had previously been cast in a major role for the Marvel film Black Panther 2, and that he had been cast um, potentially, and I don't think he ever came out and said it was specifically Namor. It might have been Namor's top, like, enforcer, but I've heard varying things of it was Namor. It was Namor's enforcer. But Damian Priest had been cast in Marvel's Black Panther 2. But then Vince McMahon, while he was still in control over the WWE, revoked his ability to be in the movie and took it away from him. And that's, you know, getting cast as a Marvel villain is a big deal for anybody. And for a wrestler trying to break into the cinematic world, it's definitely a big deal. Um, and having being cast and then losing that is its own special form of pain. But much, and it's not the same deal, but like in the upcoming Captain America Brave New World, Seth Rollins had originally been cast as and filmed scenes for uh the Serpent Society, and those scenes may have potential, or were reportedly had been cut. But there's also going to be probably some commentary on situations like this in the upcoming Netflix documentary Mr. McMahon, which drops on September 25th, which goes behind the scenes as an expose on the level of douchebaggery that did come from Vince McMahon. And um, which is going to be fun because, the WWE, or at least a chunk of it, moves to Netflix in January. This documentary has also been produced by the same dude that made the Tiger King documentary. So, yeah, but that is a sad loss for Damian Priest. But, and I say this with all the love in the world, but I don't know if that would have been the best option for him anyway, because Black Panther 2 wasn't the best, and Namor didn't get that much love. So maybe he's better off not have doing it. But um yeah. On, let's see, what day was that? Yeah. There is a new horror, possession, demonic, exorcism-ish thriller on Netflix called The Deliverance, that is getting some good reviews and commentary, etc. Lee Daniels, uh, who is a director and is no stranger to the Hollywood business, um, hired um, hired an onset pastor slash preacher to be on set through the whole filming of the movie. He said that he had read the books about the making of the Poltergeist and the Exorcist and the curses that followed these successful horror movie franchises as they were coming out, and that literally they were seeing that he had heard the stories, the literal horror stories of how demonic presences and entities were involved with some of the most notable horror franchises of all time. And so they hired an on-set pastor to just be on set and praying away and against evil. And to have group prayer with everybody filming this thing. Um, his exact quote was like, and I'm like, nope, not today, Satan. Here's all I'm gonna say. First of all, if you want to hire a pastor to come pray for anything, great. It's probably a great life choice. If you're hiring a pastor because you feel like you're in danger because you're making a cinematic experience that's going to bring the presence of demons, don't make it. You don't want that smoke. Um, but yeah, The Deliverance is on Netflix, and it's the series that's been probably prayed over more than any other series on Netflix. Archaeologists have discovered 5 musket balls um uh that they believe one of these 5 musket balls was the shot heard around the world um from the American Revolution. They're all in kind of the same spots in the right location with the right aging, et cetera, et cetera. And they believe that they have one of these 5 shots was the shot heard around the world from the American Revolution, which is neat. Kind of surprising it took them that it's still there to be found at this point. Um, if you are familiar with TikTok and ADHD, there is a lady on TikTok, Roxanne Emery, um, who goes by the musical name Rory, and they also have an app. Um, I think it was called Dubby. Yeah, where you can actually use an app to schedule body doubling with people to get your work done and get projects done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's all cool. Um, um, Roxanne Emery goes by the musical name Rory. Um, and she released a new single and a new video called In the Bible. And normally when people in the world that aren't associated with Christian music drop songs about the Bible, I'm usually like, oh, this is not going to go well. Um, but surprisingly, um, it's pretty dope. Um, and I'd say theologically, it's moderately sound. Um, it's definitely not negative. I was expecting uh some horrible like thing that was going to make me sad to see their faces on TikTok. It was actually really good. I purchased it. I'm going to listen to it a little bit more later, but I dove into the lyrics, checked out the video. Um, it's not the coolest audio I've heard of in the world or anything like that. It's good. But it's neat seeing that in the context. But like the phrase that's repeated as part of the, I guess, hook is it says in the Bible, God said he would use the foolish to shame the wise. Um, and yeah, it's a song, it's an empowerment song. It's a very much a rise above your struggle song. So it's called Rory in the Bible. You can check out the video on YouTube. It's also on TikTok and all the other places. Um, if you ever watched Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, one of the most loved and notable characters on the show is Spike, who is played by James Marsders, um, which is one of the 3 people that constantly leaves me tongue tied because you got James Marsders, who plays Spike, James Marsden, who plays uh, Cyclops, and then the dude who played Max in a Goofy movie, who I can't remember his name. It's one of they all their names are all the same. Um, but he came out in a recent interview on a podcast interview. Um, that he was permanently traumatized from having to film a scene apparently in season 6 of Buffy. I've only watched Buffy as a series all the way through once, and I don't remember this particularly because I basically my brain goes to the musical episode and kind of stays there. Um, but there's a scene where he um effectively tried to force himself on Buffy, and it left him traumatized, and he has severe triggers and um can't watch anything with that in there. Lynn, I don't know, like I don't know if I've ever said that out loud. I don't know if I've ever actually spoken that conversation, but literally I'll be at Comic Cons with the dude from a Goofy movie pretty frequently. And I'll say, "Oh, this person's here," and they're like, "Cyclops," or they'll be like, "Oh, Spike," and but no, you are not the only person that mixes up those names. But James Marster says still today, like you know, a whole lifetime later, he's traumatized by filming that scene from Buffy. Um, which I don't know. I really never thought of what that did to them emotionally to film scenes like that. I mean, because literally 90% of their character is like being a vampire and killing people, but the like more actual practical things, I guess, were very heavy on them. So, um, just for consideration. In cool nerd pop culture news, Allison Brie, who, if you've watched Community, she played Annie. If you watched Glow, she was the main character on Glow, and I'll say this, I thought she freaking nailed it on Glow. Glow, I thought was a masterpiece, and I'm kind of thank you, Tristan. I never saw who he was actually talking to. He said it was or Tristan says it's the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum, the guy who played Lex Luthor slash The Flash. Um, but yeah, he was talking about that. I just saw the TikTok clip of him going over that. But yeah, um, but Alison Brie has officially been cast as Evil Lynn in the live action Masters of the Universe movie that's coming through Amazon. Now, um, I don't know that I was remotely excited about an Masters of the Universe movie prior to this, but I am a fan of Alison Brie's acting, and I do think that that is spot on casting for her as Evil Lynn. Um, I also think that she would be a dope live action Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3. I digress. But now there's a spark of hope in me for what this movie could be. So that's coming. Um, if you've been following the controversy of Bo DeMayo, or DeMayo from the creator of X-Men 97 and his firing, and then Marvel and him going back and forth on social media, and Marvel effectively like publicly airing the allegations of why he was fired. Um, it's not been the prettiest situation. But Bo dropped a full, lengthy video, um, as some news agencies are calling it, a smear campaign against Marvel. Um, but he dropped it on his OnlyFans. So he dropped a full like anti-Marvel video, but he only put it on his OnlyFans, and I'm sure it'll get leaked somewhere else. But his rebuttal to everything is on his OnlyFans channel. Um, Queen guitarist Brian May um had a minor stroke while playing, um and lost control of his left arm, and simply said it was just a little hiccup. So if we're out here suffering from minor inconveniences, and this guy has a stroke, and it's like it's okay, no big deal. Just let's keep chugging. Um, if you are familiar with the actor Jonathan Langdon, let's see, what would you know Jonathan Langdon from? Jonathan Langdon recently had a good role in the thriller Trap, uh as the like concessions dude who bonded with Josh Hartnett. Um, that might be about all you know him from. Um, Run the Burbs, My Little Pony, Tell Your Tale. Um, Faith Heist, Zombies 3. Okay. Jonathan Langdon's done some stuff, but maybe not stuff you've seen. No, this all looks pretty darn um scattered on terms of uh his collective works. Either way, he had a breakout role in Trap. Jonathan Langdon is bringing back our favorite purple dinosaur um, with a new series, Barney's World. So Jonathan Langdon from the movie Trap will now be the voice of Barney in a CGI Barney cartoon called Barney's World that is coming soon. So if you thought your world just didn't have enough Barney, now's your chance. You're gonna get some more Barney. Elton John revealed that he had a severe eye infection this summer, and which has now limited his vision in one of his eyes. That has yet to been healed and may be permanent. Already said Linkin Park stuff. Already said Linkin Park stuff. Lots of Linkin Park stuff. Um, there's a movie coming out. No, sorry, there's a limited TV series coming out about the story of John Benet Ramsey. Um, and if you don't know who that is, I'm gonna let you Google it. Um, but Melissa McCartney or Carthy and Clive Owen are playing the parents of John Benet Ramsey in the upcoming limited series. And things that I did not expect to hear or see were going to be a reality. There is a sequel series to I Hate Chris, or Everybody Hates Chris, the Chris Rock produced TV show that starred Terry Crews and the young man from Abbott Elementary, who is now a grown up. Um, but almost 20 years later, Everybody Hates Chris is coming back as an animated series with the cast returning. So apparently everybody's back that's still living. But Everybody Hates Chris is getting a sequel animation series. Um, a seventh patch for Baldur's Gate 3 dropped. And with that are new endings for certain characters, including a Karlach ending where you become an evil destructive force. So if you're a Baldur's Gate fan, that is out patch number 7. Um, I really enjoyed a lot of that game, but it may be too much game for me based on my bandwidth. Um, I'm currently writing a devotional on Baldur's Gate 3, and I don't know if I'm going to have the time, energy, or space to continue the game past where I work. Because like I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish to be able to write the chapter. Um, and I've already put like 20, 30 hours into it. I don't know that I got more in me. Plus, I just bought Star Wars Outlaws, and I also haven't finished Destiny 2. It's the last big DLC. Um, we'll see. South Park has officially taken a hiatus. Um, the creators of South Park says that they're not coming back until um a bit of deep into 2025 for two reasons. One, because Paramount is trying to figure their crap out. If you aren't aware, all the streaming services are combining and shutting down and merging, and um, every time one of those services combines or changes, it has to restructure their deal with the company because South Park is being released basically exclusively on Paramount Plus. or through Paramount Plus. So it every time they do a merger, it jacks up their deal, and it's a lot of legwork. So they're letting them figure out Paramount Plus's thing. Um, but the South Park creators are taking off the year because they don't want to deal with the election. They said that they've literally said everything they could ever want to say about Trump, made as many Trump jokes as they could. You got to remember, these are the same dudes that made an entire live action sitcom called That's My Bush about George W. Bush while he was in office. But they're at the point they said, we're done. We can't talk about Trump anymore. And so they and they know that they would have to just keep making political jokes between now and the rest of the year if they keep making stuff. So they're going to just chill out and let 2025 unfurl before they continue anything on with the next series of South Park, which I'm still amazed South Park is still going, but rock on. Um, Season 2, Episode 4 of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power gives you your first full glimpse of the long missed character of Tom Bombadil. Um, and I have not watched this episode yet. I'm been busy getting my little Comic-Con together, and I have not watched it. Um, but if you're not familiar with the Lord of the Rings books, Tom Bombadil is a big old merry dude who the ring has no power over, and on a theological level, he's often the representation of the Holy Spirit or God, depending on your perspective of things. But he is unaffected by the ring and can see anybody wearing the ring, and nobody with the ring can hide from him. But he's also merry and loving and kind and all these things. So yeah, Warner Brothers has announced that it is working heavily and at full speed for a direct sequel to Hogwarts Legacy, the video game. They said that that is their priority above everything else in the gaming world, especially coming off the heels of the property of Kill the Justice League from Suicide Squad being as big of a bomb as it was. It also appears that Rocksteady is laying off people because of how badly that went. Um, at Dragon Con this past weekend, Manny Jacinto stated that it is now his life goal to make Acolyte Season 2 happen, and that he is not going to rest in his acting career until he makes Acolyte Season 2 happen. And if he's that passionate, I wish him the best to make it. I will watch it if he do. And I know that there are a lot of people who are polarized on it, but it's good that he has that goal. The PlayStation shooter Concord will officially be taken offline today. The Overwatch style shooter just got really bad responses, and they're going to pull the plug on it. And if you purchased Concord, you're going to get a full refund. So it's not often that you purchase a game, get the game, play the game, and then the game company's like, never mind, we're going to give you your money back. It's pretty unprecedented with that. I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to skip that too. I've already had enough negative news. I'm going to bypass all that and just go to the ridiculous. The Hawk Tua girl, who is made famous from her street interview, is now launching a podcast where she shares her opinions on life and has guests and things. Listen, anybody can have a podcast. Well, I'm right here. So like if I have a voice, anybody can have a voice. But her podcast title is Talk to a. It's Talk to a. That's oh, so yeah, that's the thing that's coming. There's a promo out for it. Uh, if you aren't aware, it's been reported earlier since this year that they have discovered an untouched people group of people that have not been connected with or affected by the outside world along the Amazon rainforest. And two people are dead. Two loggers are dead because apparently they tried to get near them. So this is stuff that, I would have not expected in 2024, but it's totally happening. North Korea, Kim Jong-un reportedly, allegedly, air quotedly, is executing 30 of his government officials for failures in preventing floods. And just as someone who lives in a region who is moderately traumatized on a regular by flood damage, I get how frustrating it is, and I get how difficult it is to actually plan and combat flooding. But again, that's extreme. And season 2 has begun filming for the series Twisted Metal, which I'm amazed Twisted Metal got made in the first place. A. B, I'm amazed Twisted Metal got the reception that it got and that people actually enjoyed it. B. C, I'm amazed that you have Anthony Mackie and I don't know her name, but the lady who played Maribel in Encanto and Diaz in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Um, I'm amazed that you still have them starring in it. Just craziness. But yeah, that's the news, man. That's the news that I have for you and everything else. In just a little bit, I'm gonna go do my muggle job for a couple hours, and I'm gonna go prep this Comic-Con. But before I do that, let's do some Bible verses and roll for initiative. I'll move Dark Side over here. Let's see. Let's see what we're gonna read today. Currently, as I stated, maybe last week, in my own personal Bible reading, I'm currently reading Ecclesiastes as a book. I'm just going through that. But doing this with y'all, I'm gonna do the random roll and see what we get. So we're gonna pull out 3d20s. This guy, this guy. There we are. And a d10. Find a d10. You. It's an 8. Okay, there we go. Sweet. All right, so I am rolling dice that can equal up to 70. There are 66 books in the Bible. I will subtract 4 to make room to be able to have the first 4 books of the Bible, and we're going to see what we're going to read today. As y'all can watch me live time how bad I am at math early in the morning. All right. We got a 6, a 12, a 2, and an 11. So we got 33. Sorry, 23 plus 8 is 31. 31 minus 4 is 27. So we're going to go to the 27th book of the Bible. Yeah. And I normally, like, if you've ever seen me like rolling around my Bible, normally is like not as loose and everything. The spine is busted on 2 of my Bibles that I use regularly, so I've got a new one and I'm trying to keep it in the packaging at least while I'm traveling to try and reduce a little bit of the damage. So we are going to the 27th book of the Bible. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6. 27, Daniel. Okay. Let's see. 25. Daniel's always dope to read. All right. We're in Daniel. And Daniel has 12 chapters. So let's get. See, I'm not a big of enough uh nerd in this capacity yet to know what each dice already has all the time. So I always have to look it up and see. You know what? I'm just gonna roll a d20 and stop the first time I get something under 12. There we go. 7. All right, so Daniel chapter 7 is where we're going. Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. Okie dokie. Where's my highlighter? Because you know, can't be reading scripture without a highlighter. For real. Out here in the streets. All right. Got a highlighter. Gonna get a pencil. Be on it. Y'all that are just listening to this, don't worry. It's not visually appealing either. You're not missing much. Where's your pencil? All right, we'll just go with the pen. It'll be okay. All right. Daniel 7. In the year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and visions passed through his mind as he was lying in bed. He wrote down the substance of his dream. Daniel said, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me were 4 winds of heaven churning up the great sea. 4 great beasts, each different from the others, came up out of the sea. The first was like a lion, and it had wings of an eagle. I watched until its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground so that it stood on 2 feet like a human being, and the mind of a human was given to it. And there before me was a second beast, which looked like a bear, and it was raised up on one of its sides, and had 3 ribs of its mouth between its teeth. It was told, get up and eat your fill of flesh. After that, I looked, by the way, and I know I'm mid reading this, but there's an episode of The Office where um they're dealing with depression or and the subject of death, and so they're trying to air quotes pray to remove the curse that is on the office. And so they start trying to imagine, like Michael just goes on this random riff, and I think everybody in the room is probably dying, trying not to laugh about like the type of God they could create to pray to. And this is what this sounds like to me. Um, After that, verse 6 says, after that I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard, and on its back had 4 wings like those of a bird. The beast had 4 heads, and it was given authority to rule. After that, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was a fourth beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns. I would just say that it's neat that it said the iron and it was different, you know, makes a time passage thing for me. Verse 8, while I was thinking about the horns, there before me was another horn, a little one which came up among them, and the three of the first horns were uprooted before it. The horn had eyes like the eyes of a human being, and its mouth spoke boastfully. As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as snow, and his hair was white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and its wheels were all ablaze. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. So we're going full revelation here. Um, it says, then I continued to watch because of the boastful words the horns were speaking, and I kept looking until the beast was slain, and its body was strown and destroyed and thrown into the blazing fire. Just, I'm not always one to do a lot of revelation studies. But I will say that it said that the fourth beast was made of iron and had the eyes, and its boastful things is very much, if you look at the other beasts as maybe representations of stuff that has happened, and that the fourth beast, the iron one, would be more of our technological age, but that's just me spitballing here. I'm not deep studying that in the moment. The other beasts had been stripped of their authority, but were allowed to live for a period of time. In my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was one like the Son of Man. Coming from the clouds, he approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. Behold, he comes riding on a cloud. Um, Verse 14 says, he was given the authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and all peoples of every language worshipped him. His dominion is everlasting, and his is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom that will never be destroyed. You would have told me I was going to pull out a full messianic prophecy passage out of Daniel 7, I would have told you I wasn't ready for that. The interpretation of the dream, verse 15, I, Daniel, was troubled in spirit, and the visions that passed through my mind disturbed me. I approached one of those standing there and asked him the meaning of all this. So he told me and gave me the interpretation of the things. The four great beasts are the four kings that will rise from the earth. But the holy people of the Most High will receive the kingdom and will possess it forever and ever. Yes, forever and ever. Then I wanted to know the meaning of the fourth beast, which was different from all the others and most terrifying, with its iron teeth and bronze claws. The beast that crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. I also wanted to know about the 10 horns on its head, and the other horn that came up before which the three of them fell. The horn looked like more imposing than the others, and had eyes and mouth that spoke boastfully. As I watched, the horn was waging war against the holy people and defeating them, until the Ancient of Days came and pronounced judgment in favor of the holy people of the Most High. That time came when they possessed the kingdoms. He gave me this explanation. The fourth beast is a fourth kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. The 10 horns are the 10 kings who will come from his kingdom. After them, another king will arise, different from the earlier ones, and will subdue the three kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. The holy people will be delivered into his hand um, for a time, times and a half time, to his hands for a time, times and a half time. But the court will sit, and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. Then the sovereignty, power, and greatness of all the kingdoms under heaven will be handed over to the holy people, and the Most High kingdom will be everlasting kingdom, and all the rulers will worship and obey him. This is the end of the matter. I, Daniel, was deeply troubled by my thoughts, and my face turned pale, but I kept the matters to myself. Daniel's like, Yeah, I had this dream and it terrified me, so I didn't tell anybody. But I'm gonna write it all down so y'all can be troubled too. I always do love seeing messianic Jesus prophecies in the Old Testament because if you would have told, like, I don't know about you, but I don't know the whole outline of Daniel that well. And if you would have told me that in this one chapter of Daniel, you were gonna get a full Jesus prophecy and a full like book of Revelation prophecy, I would have been like, no, I would have been wrong. But I would be like, no. But it's why we read and learn things because we literally don't know everything. We even don't know everything about the stuff that we say we know the most about. So, um, yeah, throw my dice back. Yeah, that's cool. Some things to churn on for that. You know, doing that, I always hope for some like super inspirational passage. But if you truly believe that all scripture can be profitable for teaching and things like that, we take it all. At least it wasn't one of the chapters on bathroom usage, Deuteronomy, or what you have to do if your family members get in a fight and start grabbing each other inappropriately, because that's totally in Deuteronomy too. All right. Let you know some stuff coming up. I am going to be I'm sorry, Hank. I'm glad you made it for a little bit of it. Hank just joined in, he missed it. But we're gonna be you can always watch it back, but it'll be on the podcast channel later. Um, I'm going to be running my Comic Con tonight and tomorrow. I'm going to be doing setup for it tonight and um, running it tomorrow. After that, I have basically a month off from cons. Um, and I will be at my next con will be, if I'm not mistaken, it's Boone. Because the week after that, next week, my daughter has family day at her school that she's at, and we're going to see 21 Pilots. I'm DJing for a sneaker ball for addiction recovery on the 21st. I'm hosting a concert for rehab fundraising on the 28th. So yeah, my next con will be Boone Comic Con, which it's a first ever show for this one. Um, then I'm DJing. Then I've got Fayetteville Comic Con. Then I've got Empire Comic Con. Um, if I'm not mistaken, currently Empire Comic Con is my last Comic Con. I don't see that being the case. I'm pretty sure I'll find another one before the year is out. But I am tomorrow will be my last con until October 5th. Um, so if you're planning to meet up with me at a show, that'll be your last opportunity for a little bit. And I also want to take a moment to, I'm currently writing a chapter on Baldur's Gate 3 and two chapters on One Piece are in the queue um, of stuff that I want to write about, or maybe one long chapter of One Piece. We'll see. Um, Before I go, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer. Jeff, I owe you a book, two books now. Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Candace Davis, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Um, thank y'all for taking the time to support, for being encouragers, for helping. Uh, I know some of you give $1, and I legitimately, it means the world. So thank you for being Patreon supporters because you help make the production of the books, the podcasts, the cons, the travel. You help make everything else possible, and especially when shows are rough, um, or not even rough, when shows just because shows are expensive. Um, you help make all the proceeds of that, or the not the proceeds. You help make the procurement of that possible because literally couldn't do all this on I work like 5 jobs and still couldn't afford to fund Faith and Fandom on my own. but God's provided in crazy ways, and you've been some of the ways that God's provided with that. So I want to say thank you for doing that. Um, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. Again, February or September is Suicide Prevention Month. If you are struggling, if you are hurting, if you've got issues, please reach out to someone. If it's not me, there are lots of professionals out there who would be glad to talk to you and glad to help. But don't go through this alone. And I know I did the random dice roll, but I just leave you with this verse, John 17:3. Um, Jesus is praying in the garden before the crucifixion, and he says this one line. He says, "And this is eternal life, to know the Father and Jesus Christ, whom he sent." And he makes this statement. He's like, listen, this is eternal life. This is real life, is knowing God and knowing me. And when Jesus prays in John 10:10, he says, "The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly." I want you to know God sees you. He wants you to have more life, and he knows that part of you having more life is having more of him in your life. So I'd encourage you, take some steps to do that. So that you can draw a little bit closer to him. I hope you're enjoying all the nerdy things that you're into. Love to hear more about them. Also, recently I finished Rising Impact Season 2, which was dope. Once you get past the annoyingness of the main character, it's a golf anime and it's great. Finished Terminator Zero. About to be on episode 4 of Rings of Power whenever I get around to it. And yeah, it's just some cool stuff I watched lately. All right. I hope y'all have a great day, and I hope I get the chance to see you at a con soon. Bye, y'all.